My name is Madison, and my love story is unlike any other. At 24, I am in a relationship with Frank, a 49-year-old man who happens to be the father of my ex-boyfriend. An unthinkable situation for some, but for me, it became an undeniable reality. How did I get here? What consequences has this relationship had on those around me? This is a story where the heart overpowered reason, where love disrupted family ties, and where time seems to be the only remedy for a wound still fresh. Before diving into the depths of this complex and fascinating story, subscribe to the channel to discover more gripping tales, stories of impossible love, unexpected betrayals, and choices that change lives forever. Now, let me tell you my story. It all began when I got out of a long-term relationship. From the age of 16 to 22, I had a love story that everyone believed would last forever. So did I, for that matter. But over time, I realized that we were growing in different directions. A brutal realization that pushed me to break up, despite my loved one's confusion. It was a turning point. I then went through a phase of dating, never truly committing. 1, 2, 3 dates at most. I was exploring, discovering, searching for myself. Until the day I met a guy I thought I could build something with. A relationship that after 6 months seemed promising. Then everything changed. I met Frank. Frank was my boyfriend's father. A charismatic, cultured man with a presence that unsettled me. He was older, more confident, and every conversation with him resonated in a way that none had before. At first, it was just casual exchanges, a few conversations during family dinners. But deep inside, something was stirring. A growing attraction, an undeniable connection. Once I was certain of my feelings, I knew I couldn't pretend anymore. Breaking up with my boyfriend was a difficult but inevitable decision. I didn't want to play a double game, and above all, I didn't want to betray my own feelings. I gathered my courage and ended our relationship. Only after that did I confront Frank. He was hesitant at first, caught between two conflicting emotions. His son was hurting, and he didn't want to make things worse. But the attraction was mutual. We tried to resist, to deny the obvious, but it was useless. One day, we stopped fighting what we felt and gave in. And you, what would you do in my place? Do you think love justifies everything, even if it means hurting someone else? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. The hardest part was yet to come, telling Frank's son. We waited a few months before talking to him about it. We wanted to be sure of the strength of our relationship before imposing it on others. But when the moment came, his reaction was brutal. Anger, confusion, pain. Frank's son couldn't comprehend how his ex-girlfriend and his own father could be together. He fluctuated between resignation and outrage, sometimes distant, sometimes furious. Every glance exchanged between Frank and me, every innocent gesture, became a trigger for tension. Frank's family, on the other hand, accepted the situation more easily. His parents, his sister, his nephews, all took this relationship with more detachment. But for his son, it was a different story. He said it was unhealthy, a betrayal. He refused to accept the idea that his father could love a woman he had once been with. Yet, despite the conflicts and tensions, he never cut ties with his father. Little by little, he learned to tolerate our relationship, even if the resentment never fully faded. Today, Frank and I are still together. We proceed cautiously, avoiding sensitive topics, respecting certain boundaries to keep the peace. I do not try to play a role that isn't mine. I don't consider myself a stepmother and never joke about it. I know that would be an unnecessary provocation. All I want is for things to settle down, for Frank's son to one day fully accept our love. Do you think time will heal the wounds and normalize this relationship? Or do you believe some boundaries should never be crossed? Share your thoughts in the comments. This story reminds us that love can be unpredictable and overwhelming, but it also forces us to ask ourselves, how far are we willing to go to follow our hearts? And at what cost?